Hello, everybody. The New Orleans Saints have already had their share of tough breaks to start the 2025 season. With all the news of injuries this week to their opponent, the San Francisco 49ers, could things be turning around in week 2? Is this the biggest game to date in young Spencer Rattler's career? And what about LSU's SEC opener against a wounded Florida team and the return of Darian Mensah and Duke versus Tulane? We're previewing the Big Three, and the Fun Friday crew is here to make our weekly best bets in the NFL for week 2, college football for week 3. It's all next, and it's all coming up on the Dattitude podcast.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Have we got a show for you today? It is everything you could possibly want and things you didn't even know you wanted. And it's all here on Dattitude. Episode number 414, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Friday, September the 12th, 2025. If you are new here, where you been, first off? We're glad you're here. We're glad you found us. How did you find us, by the way? Let us know. I'm your host, Jim Derry, 35 years of the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you for being a huge part of the Dat family that is growing and growing. And we want it to keep growing. You know what's most special about our show? You can be a part of today's episode and every episode by typing in your comments, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. We're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. You know what it is. You know the menu. Monday is Mono-y Monday. Well, I got Derry's dime. Gabe's here, and we're all talking one another. We're all happy, joy over the weekend or whatever we are. Then Wednesday is when we welcome in our guest, whoever that guest may be. And on Friday, which is today, it's Pick'em Friday, Fun Friday, whatever you want to call it. We've got a new segment coming up and tell you about in just a minute. If you are watching after the fact, you're not all watching live. If you don't get to make it live, it's okay. If you're watching live or if you're listening on any of the major podcast platforms, which is we're at all of them, Spotify, Apple Music, Google, whatever you call it, whatever you want, you can find us. Get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or via email, jderry@theadvocate.com. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, please do so. It only takes a second. Find us on YouTube. It's Attitude with a D in front of it, as you see here on the screen. You found us. You know what it is. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Please take a second to do so. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. Help the algorithm. Help today. What is on the show today? You know what's on the show today. It's Pick'em. It's the Saints-49ers. LSU's playing Florida. Tulane playing Duke. I will actually be at Ewing Stadium for the first time watching Tulane. I've been in Ewing Stadium several times, but it's the first time I'm going to see the Green Wave play. I'm kind of excited about it. Now, I hate that it's at the same time as LSU-Florida, so I don't know if I'm having it on my phone or just kind of check on or to see what's going on or watch it when I come home later. Who knows? Because I'm going to the Saints game as well on Sunday. It's a very busy weekend. Then we got Mono-y Monday. It is going to be a crazy busy week. I'm working tonight, as a matter of fact. I'm going out to the West Bank, Joe Zimmerman Stadium, our first game, our first Shaw game of the year. Shaw versus West Jefferson. Jim Rapier and my crew will be there tonight for VSN. Check us out. So it's a very busy weekend. It's going to be nonstop all weekend long, which means Tuesday I'm going to have to try to find time to take a little snooze. I might not sleep much until then. A Sunday afternoon after the Saints game, you'll be able to find me on the Saints Insiders post-game show. Again, that's right after the Saints game. You can find that on the Saints Insiders have their own page. New Orleans Saints on NOLA.com, I believe is what it's called. All right. Also, we got a new segment today that's coming up in probably about 5 minutes. What is it, you ask? Well, I kind of teased to it earlier in the week and talked about it, I think, a little last week. I got in touch with Damon Singleton, if you're from the New Orleans area, you know who that is. He was a long-time meteorologist here in the New Orleans area. He worked for WDSU for almost 20 years, was in the Navy for over 20 years, a St. Aug grad, and he is going to have a new segment here. I'm not sure. I haven't given it a name yet. We call it Dat Weather. I don't know what we're going to call it. But I probably will give it a name. We just haven't done so yet. He's coming on the show. We recorded a segment. He cannot come on live. He's done by this part of the day. So we recorded a segment early this morning. We're going to do that, recorded every Friday morning. He's going to tell you what the weather, if you're going out to either the Saints game, LSU, Tulane, and they all happen to be at home this week. So it's not hard to figure out what the weather's going to be like, but he's going to come on each Friday and tell us what the weather's going to be like at all the venues. It doesn't matter if you're going to the Dome, you still need to know what the weather's like. You got to get out of your car and get there. So we're going to be talking about all those things. If you're going to Tiger Stadium, if you're going to Yeoman Stadium, he's going to tell you what the weather's going to be like. And we're going to have fun with it. I also ask him a couple questions on the side. Y'all know if you've been watching long enough that I'm Nash Jr. over here. You know, I've been loving me on some weather for a while, and I'm want to know when it's going to be cool. We'll ask him that. Let's see what else we got going on. Last night, did you see the game last night before we get to our predictions? If you saw my short and you went with our predictions, Gabe and I both predicted, we both took Green Bay. Then I made a short last night and gave you more reasons on why I liked Green Bay last night. They were dominating over the Commanders. Are they that good? We'll see. I don't know if they're that good. I think the Commanders are. I've told you this already. If you've been paying attention, you've been following the shorts, been following the predictions. Gabe and I have been talking about it for a month. We've been doing previews. We're getting to the real thing now. I just think Washington takes a step backwards. I really do. So it's kind of a combination. I really do think, though, that Green Bay could be the best team in the NFC, maybe even the NFL. I mean, that's a stretch because Baltimore and Buffalo are pretty damn good. We'll see what Kansas City's made of this weekend. But I'll tell you, it's September, so I don't want to get too fired up, but I think Green Bay has the makings. Jordan Love looks like he is taking the next step. He has got a plethora of weapons to throw to. Josh Jacobs is picking up where he left off last year. What a move that was for the Packers to get Josh Jacobs. And they look really good last night. I think the final was 27-18. Don't let that fool you, by the way. That the Commanders kind of got themselves a garbage touchdown there at the end. I'm sorry if you were playing against Deebo Samuel. Yeah, it should have been 27-10. That was more realistic with the score. Jaden Daniels just had a tough time. And again, that's what we talked about in the preview, the prediction. So I know a bunch of you saw it. It actually got quite a few views. If you want to go back and listen to what I said, I'm going to start doing more of those. I'm going to take some of our picks out and probably turn them into shorts if I have time. Be iffy on if I have time, but I probably will tomorrow morning. We'll try to do that. Some other news around the NFL from last night's game. If you play fantasy football or if you're just interested, bad news for the Commanders. Not just they lost the game. They lost Austin Eckler probably for the season. Is this the end of Austin Eckler's career? Some might have to ask. He looks like he tore his Achilles. That's certainly out for the season and maybe more than that. So best wishes for Austin Eckler and the Commanders. Now they're going to have to go with little Bill McCrory. He was a hot prospect in our fantasy league. We got a really deep fantasy league auction draft, and I didn't know if he would go. Well, man, did he go? So people were excited about him, and he went for. We have an auction draft, so he went for a high price. He is now going to be the starting running back for the Washington Commanders. Maybe they'll get more help. We'll see. And then on the other side for the Packers, Jalen Reed is out for at least 6 weeks. He's got a broken clavicle. So both teams suffered major injuries to their offensive side. Obviously, the Commanders getting the worst of it. And I'm going to get to the comments in just a few minutes before we get to our first weather segment. One more thing to talk about. I'm going to talk about it with Zach in a little bit. Zach Ewing is coming on the show. He'll be first. We're going to do our Saints, LSU, and Tulane previews. Then we will make our predictions for Saints, LSU, and Tulane. We'll give you our final score predictions. Will Spencer Rattler, look, he's catching himself a break. Are the Saints going to be able to take advantage? They have to. I think this is a must-win for the Saints if they're going to keep any store. If they're going to outperform what people like me are expecting for this season, they've got to win this football game. They've been given an excellent chance here. They've been given a break, so to speak. George Kittle's out. Brock Purdy's out. Jawan Jennings is probably out. They are a mess. Joey Bosa was hurt, or Nick Bosa, I'm sorry, was banged up. He practiced. He did not practice on Wednesday, but did practice yesterday, but he's a little banged up. The Niners have a long injury list, okay? Even some of the guys that are going to play, even some of the stars that are going to play are banged up. So they're a mess. The Niners are a mess. What has it done for the line? We're going to tell you that coming up. I've got an interesting nugget that I'm going to share with you now and talk about it with Zach, but got something from BetMGM. The most bet teams in college football this week. An interesting note, of the 5, 4 of them are favorites. Only 1 is an underdog. You can see where this is going. Number 1, most bet team so far in college football, Oregon minus 28 against Northwestern. The Ducks should wipe the floor with Northwestern. Northwestern's terrible. Tulane beat the hell out of them and probably should have beat them by 28. Number 2, the second most bet team in college football thus far, Georgia minus 4 over Tennessee. The public loves them some Georgia. I'm going to save number 3. Number 4 is Alabama minus 21 over Wisconsin. Number 5 is Clemson minus 3 over Georgia Tech. So you guessed it, number 3. The number 3 team bet, as far as BetMGM is concerned, so far this weekend, or this week, up to now, as of this morning, Florida. And we've seen that line go down. And it started what? Gabe, was it 9.5 or 10.5? I can't remember. It was 9.5, wasn't it? Yeah, 9.5. It started at 9.5, got down to 7.5 as of Wednesday, now down to 7. Florida is a 7-point underdog at LSU. The bettors, and when you see all this early action and line movement, it's not from everyday Joe Blow. No, it's from people with money. So the people with money are betting on Florida to cover against LSU. We'll have our LSU predictions coming up later on, and I'm going to ask Zach what he thinks about it. So lots of stuff to talk about this morning. I got a lot of comments in the queue, but I tell you what, before we get to the comments in the queue, before we get to, we have jam-packed show today. So I'm going to tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities first. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family and run a privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. That's you or someone you know. It's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt. They will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from their offices either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. And from there, you'll be well informed to begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. And my best bet of the entire weekend is that if you call my friends at Evangeline, you will win more than all of us. The good news is we'll tell you more later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right, before we get to our new weather segment, let's see what we got in the comment queue this morning. Gary, good morning. Both teams have major injuries. Could be interesting. The biggest injury, though, is no question quarterback Brock Purdy for the San Francisco 49ers. Again, we have seen that line change. That line has changed. We're going to get to it. William. Oh, boy. What will it take for the Saints to start Tyler Shuck? I think at some point the Saints need to see what they have in their top 40 pick. Will it take a Rattler injury or multiple losses? It's not going to happen. Look, William, he's made the decision. I'm not trying to be mean when I say it this way, but get over it. The decision has been made. Spencer Rattler is the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints for the foreseeable future. Now, will my prediction hold up? And by week 5, Tyler Shuck will be I don't know. Spencer Rattler has got a major opportunity this weekend. And I'm telling you, this is the opportunity of his life so far. It was great to start week 1, but now what I'm telling you, the Saints have to take advantage of the break that he has with all the injuries to the Niners. They've got to win this game. And so I asked a question. It's almost a rhetorical question, but yes, I think this is the most important game in Spencer Rattler's career. There's no question about it in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, I hear where you're coming from, but, dude, you need to let it go. I mean, you need to let it go. We'll see what happens, but it's going to be, I think, barring injury, Spencer Rattler would have to have a major, he certainly didn't do anything to lose the job last week. Do I think he was good the first week? No. He wasn't good. He was fine. He was okay. Certainly wasn't bad enough to lose the job. If you name the starting quarterback, you're going to be the starting quarterback for the foreseeable future. Not going to change anytime soon. Good morning, Charles Mangus. Happy Friday. Oh, well, the Washington team, I told you. Randall, good morning. How are you, sir? Black Preacher Man, salute. Glad you were here, sir. Michael Morgan, you're making your prediction already. You got the 49ers 17-13. You think their front seven will be too much for the Saints O-line. We're going to get into our predictions in a little bit. You're just a little bit early. Callie, good morning. Who dat? Let's go. John Carter, good morning. I just want to walk out the dome. Have a happy Sunday. It's your chance. You got a chance, John. I tell you what, before a few days ago, I probably would have, as of let's say last Monday, I would have said the Saints' chances to win this week were probably in the neighborhood of 5 to 10%. They're certainly higher than that now. I mean, I don't know. Just implied odds alone, they're like 35, 40% with the new odds. Gabe, if you want to look at what are the if you get a chance, give me the implied odds on the Saints' victory this week. Use the money line at DraftKings. I don't know. It's like plus 145 or something like that. Robbo, afraid Florida's playing for Billy Napier's job. This could be an ambush. LSU 20, Florida 19. We're going to get to that. Black Preacherman already predicting Saints score. Hey, we'll take them now. I was going to ask for them later, but if you want to give them now. 20-13, he says. And this time the Saints win. Let's see what we got here. Oscar, good morning. David, +1 #. Feel bad for Austin Eckler blowing his Achilles. Yeah, man, that's tough. The implied odds, thank you, Gabe, for the Saints to win this week. These are according to odds at BetMGM. If you go by the odds, and we use the odds for a lot. There's a reason why Vegas wins more than it loses. 40.82%. So my quick Shaw math, that tells me that San Francisco only a 59.2% chance to win the game. Hey, man, that's more than just a chance. That's a realistic chance. I'm telling you, that's a realistic chance. Rainy Cajun's here. Happy Friday? That's happy right now. I mean, come on. Oscar saying Saints 20-17 win. Niners have too many injuries. Chad Gage is here. How are we? Well, great right now. Robbo Combs, 49ers 21, Saints 13. Sadly, 3 years from now, Kellen takes them to the Super Bowl? Huh? Kellen takes who? Saints or the 49ers? I don't know. Reginald Porter, again, we got a bunch of y'all not even waiting for me to get there. That's okay. We'll show them now. Reginald Porter says Saints will beat 49ers. Backup quarterback. Defense should be licking their chops. 20-17 Saints. We'll say this. Remember the last time the Saints faced Mac Jones? And if you didn't know, Mac Jones is the 49ers backup quarterback. Last time the Saints faced Mac Jones, they gave him a whooping. That was in New England. Y'all remember that game? Was that 2 years ago? I mean, they gave him a whooping. Was it like 35-0? 38-0? Something along those lines. Anyway, Emily's hating on some Spencer Rattler. Good morning. You think LSU should and Caps beat Florida? Well, of course, they're a 7-point favorite. Rattler seems allergic to the end zone. Come on. Let's give the young buck a little bit of hope. Skip Evans, happy Football Friday. Harvey Tunnel Bowl, go Eagles. Absolutely. Got to go through the Harvey Tunnel. I'm not going through the tunnel. I'm going to go over the overpass on my way to the Z. Earl's Picks is saying 17-13 Saints. Lewis Jacobson is taking the Saints and the Saints under. Charles is predicting Saints 20-14. Oscar says he agrees this is Rattler's most meaningful game. Hopes he pulls it off. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Adam Varner says 49ers 24, Saints 17. Thinks Rattler can't finish drives. Moore seems too conservative. Look, it's overreaction, man. We got last week out of the system, okay? It's week 1 week in the books. Let's see a trend. Before I told you what I thought about last Sunday. Let's see if that changes for this week. We're looking ahead. We'll see. Tom Trice, happy Friday in Who Dat Nation. Absolutely. Cannon McGee said Saints 31, Niners 7. Randall, if you want to come say hello, we love to see you. I will be in the press box. If you want to say hello, you probably need to do so pretty much before the game, at least 15 minutes before the game or after the game. You can tell me hello because I'll be pretty busy from any time in between that. So, all right, we're gonna get some more comments obviously throughout the show here. We're gonna have again Zach's coming on in about 10 minutes. We're gonna have our predictions. We're gonna have our previews. We're gonna talk Saints first. Then we're gonna talk LSU, make an LSU prediction. We're going to talk Tulane, make a Tulane prediction, and then we're going to go back to the Saints and make our Saints prediction before we get to the NFL Week 2 with our best bets of Week 2. And then the crew's going to come on, the fun crew. We're going to go over last week. I know Uncle Big Nick can't wait to go over last week's standings. Let's just say he had a pretty good week. I had a good week with Zach in the NFL. And actually, overall, it's funny because I was all together – my record was 7-2 between Saints, LSU, Tulane, my NFL best bets with Zach, and then our picks. But the problem was the way we do our score. Some knucklehead decided to have some fun scoring system. Yeah, that didn't work out in week 1. But again, no overreaction. Not going to do an overreaction. But we are going to have our new segment. And again, I told you a little bit about it here. It's going to be 6 minutes this week. No, most weeks it's going to be 3 to 5 minutes, but this week it was a little longer. I wanted to introduce Damon Singleton to you, our Dat Weather segment. Again, if you missed me talking about it earlier, it's the weather. How's the weather going to look for the Saints, LSU, and Tulane? They just all happen to be at home, so we kind of know what it's going to be. But I wanted to introduce Damon. He will be on every Friday morning before we get to Zach. Let's have a little fun with it. Again, 6 minutes, 4 seconds. We'll be back on the other side. Welcoming in for the first time on the Dattitude podcast this Friday morning. We're happy to have a new segment here on the pod, and I'm very excited to welcome in Damon Singleton, who is a meteorologist, worked for WDSU for 18 years. More importantly, was in the Navy for a couple of decades. And Damon, I want to tell you, it's exciting to have another Catholic leaguer here. I know you went to St. Aug, I went to Shaw, so we got the Catholic League represented here on the Dattitude podcast. Thank you for so much for taking time out.
Absolutely, Jim. I'm really excited to be here.
All right. Well, Damon's going to be working for NOLA.com. He already is doing shorts every morning on Wake Up NOLA, our new thing we got going on at NOLA.com. We got all kinds of things. We got weather, we got news, we got sports. You can check it out again on our NOLA.com YouTube page. All right, Damon, let's get right into it. So this segment each week is going to tell the fans if they're going to the game or if they're interested in what the weather's going to be like wherever they may be going, or if they just want to know what it's going to be like for the Saints game that weekend. You're going to help tell us. We'll start with the Saints. We're going to do Saints, LSU, and Tulane. The Saints obviously at home this weekend. Damon, what's going to be like if they want to go tailgating out on Sunday afternoon?
Well, if you're tailgating for the Saints, the weather's looking pretty nice. You know, we're expecting lots of sunshine, maybe a few clouds here and there. The biggest issue for all of us for the Saints tailgating is probably going to be the heat, because it's probably going to be about 94 degrees for a high in the afternoon. That's the bad news. The good news is that there's a bunch of dry air that's making its way into our area. So while the temperatures will be high, the humidity will be low. So it's still going to be pretty hot, but it won't be as brutal as we often get here in Southeast Louisiana.
I know you don't like to go too far ahead, but do you see any hints of fall coming in the near future?
Let me tell you, for the next probably about 7 days, we're probably going to be experiencing high temperatures that are around anywhere between 92 and about 95 degrees. So It's going to be hot through next week and probably into the weekend as well.
Oh, sigh. I can't wait for that first real feel when you walk outside. I'm looking forward to that so much. I'm getting excited about it, but it's not going to happen yet. What about LSU and Tulane both at home? I assume similar things, but just tell LSU obviously in Baton Rouge hosting the Florida Gators on Saturday night. At the same time, I will be out actually uptown. Tulane is hosting Duke. That will be around the same time, and the Derry and Mensa return.
All right. Yeah, well, the news is good for both of them. If you're here locally for the Tulane game, again, about 94 degrees for an afternoon high, lots of sunshine. Keep in mind that the UV index is in the very high range. So, prolonged exposure to the sun without protecting your skin could be a little bit hazardous. So that's important to keep track of. No rainfall expected here locally for Tulane tailgaters or for the Tulane game. It's going to be pretty nice as well. If you're headed up to Baton Rouge, well, that's a little bit of a different story because Baton Rouge, it's going to be hotter than chicken grease in Baton Rouge this week.
September.
The temperature is probably going to be around 96 degrees for an afternoon high, and it's probably going to feel, still dry air, but it feels like temperature probably going to be around 101 or 102 degrees in the afternoon for all the tailgaters out at LSU. Game time temperature probably at kickoff about 92 degrees.
Wow. Okay. So they don't need to bring their jackets or anything like that. They can hold off on those.
Hold off on that. Leave the jacket at home. You might want to bring the umbrella just to, shade you from the sun. But otherwise, it's going to be dry and hot.
Lastly, Damon, I don't want to jinx it, okay, and I know this doesn't have anything to do with game forecast, but can you explain why, and knock on wood that it's been this way, but why it has been so quiet in the tropics on September 12th? It is so unusual not to have a storm anywhere. Can you explain why it's been like that?
It's pretty incredible and pretty shocking for a lot of us. And, how much time do we have?
Whatever you want. That's a good thing about a podcast.
Well, the forces aren't coming together that lead to active seasons right now. And what we're experiencing right now doesn't mean that in a week or a week and a half, we're not going to see 3 different storms pop up and they head this way. And that's the big danger is that, a lot of people kind of sit back and think, okay, we're done with hurricane season when hurricane season is not over with until the end of November. And, we're still in the height of the season, even though there's nothing really churning up out there. So, while the water temperatures are good, and there is, by the way, a tropical wave that's moving off the west coast of Africa right now. That's got a medium chance of developing into a tropical system. So we could see that, over and over again over the next several weeks, and hopefully nothing will head in this direction. But it's just, the kind of an anomaly for this season. The forces aren't lining up the way they need to be for a lot of hurricanes to occur and be created.
Well, I know it's probably happened, but I could tell you, I don't remember a summer like this where and again, I know you're telling everybody stay vigilant because we could have one a month from now that heads this way. But I don't know that I remember one. We're going in the middle of September now without a storm that's been a threat to really the United States.
Yeah, and it's a shocker for me as well.
Well, Damon, thank you so much for being a part of this. Welcome to NOLA.com and our family here at the Times-Picayune and the Advocate, and we look forward to seeing you every Friday.
Thanks, Jim. I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to see you next weekend. Go Saints.
Go Saints. Love it. We got a new segment. I hope y'all enjoy it because, again, weather is a big part of my life, always has been, and I just thought it was kind of cool to be able to do that. And with, someone the stature of Damon Singleton, who just joined us, he's only been with us for a couple weeks now at NOLA.com. Maybe it's a little bit longer than that, but I'm so glad to have him. I reached out to him. I was so happy that he was willing to do this segment every week. So again, it'll usually be a little bit shorter, but I had another question to ask him about the tropics, ask him when we think it's going to get cool. And I just thought that was pretty cool. Adam Varner. Charles wants to know, when do these bugs stop? Maybe I'll ask him that week. Hakeem is here, big dog. Welcome. All right. Zach is going to be on with us in just a little bit. He's not in the green room as of yet. But look, in fact, I'm going to switch as we move on here to the Saints because we're going to start talking about it. We're going to jump right into it. Again, that's going to be the first thing that Zach and I talk about this morning. And you see that line on the bottom left of your screen. And if you can't see it, you listen to the podcast after the fact. The Niners, again, 6.5-point favorites earlier this week. Gabe had told me that it opened at 7. At some point, it's been 7 at some different points. But I'll tell you, -3. It's down to -3. That's how much Brock Purdy and George Kittle mean. It has dropped 4 points over the course of a week. So yes, is it a gift for a Saints? Gift for the Saints? There's no question that it's a gift for the Saints, right? No Brock Purdy, no Kittle, maybe no Jawan Jennings. He didn't practice. He hasn't practiced this whole week. Good chance he doesn't play as well. I was trying to follow up and see if I could find anything else this morning. So, I mean, who are they going to go with? They're going to have a tough. It's going to be a tough time for them to get there. So we'll see. We're going to get into it back. And you know what? Zach's in the green room. Let's get into it right away. And Zach Ewing, I know you were recording the Saints Insider podcast as you were trying to find yourself.
I'm moving.
There you go.
I didn't realize you were bringing me on that quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have given you a heads up ahead of time. Zach Ewing, everybody. Here he is. Saints editor for us at NOLA.com, assistant sports editor. And Zach, just talk a little bit about what you guys are talking about on Saints Insider that we can find later this afternoon on the New Orleans Saints on NOLA.com YouTube page.
Yeah, I mean, what an opportunity for the Saints this week, right? Like you've got a team without its starting quarterback, without its star tight end, coming in off of an emotional road victory in division, now having to travel again. Like, if not now, when? If you're Spencer Rattler,
right,
if not now, when? If you're Kellen Moore, like, because now you got your own trip to Seattle next week, which looks like an elite defense. And then you've got a trip to Buffalo, which we all know is an elite offense. And you're staring, I know you've been saying this all summer, Jim, but you're staring 0-4 in the face unless you can make a stand and make something happen on Sunday. So that's really what, we break down all the matchups every week and all of that and talk about injuries and what we think will happen. But what it really comes down to for me is, can the Saints seize what's a pretty big opportunity?
Yeah, we'll talk about the gift in a second because I want to jump to another obvious question that I asked in the open, and I'm going to ask this of you here. I mean, this is a pretty obvious question, and it's a pretty obvious answer, but is this the most important game so far in young Spencer Rattler's career? Obviously, only his 8th start on Sunday, but, I mean, you got to think that this is his best opportunity to win a football game.
Yeah, I mean, as far as best opportunities, like they played the Raiders at the end of the year last year when the Raiders were terrible. So
yeah, that's true.
But I mean, the season was lost at that point anyway. So I don't know that you can say one is more important. You could say the Bucs game at the end of the year, you could have spoiled the Bucs season. Like, he's played in games that had meaning, but I think as far as the litmus test that's going to tell us, because he gave everybody a little bit of hope last week, right? Like he didn't turn the ball over. They had a chance to win the game at the end. That's what you want from a young quarterback. He's not going to go win you a bunch of games. Just don't go lose them for us. And he didn't do that. And they had a chance at the end. And I'm curious to see how he builds on that.
And here's the thing, and this is why I think it's the biggest game of his young career, because as we said, look, I think you and I both agree that unless he just falls off of a cliff, he's the bare minimum, he's getting 4 games. Okay. Bare minimum, he's getting 4 games, unless he gets hurt or has just some ridiculously bad performance. So with that being said, I just think Seattle and Buffalo are going to be too tough to overcome. I mean, no spoiler alert. I'm going to predict the Saints to lose those games. We'll get to our predictions on this one in a minute. But to start, if that were the case, and if he can't win this game and to be potentially staring 0-10 to start a career in the face, to me, that would just be really tough for someone his age and with his inexperience to overcome.
Yeah, there's just like a stigma to 0-10 if he gets there. I mean, you can't.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I mean. Better. Yeah, like if he's playing better, then he falls to 0-10. It's still going to be I don't know. Maybe then you set up a point where week 5 against the Giants, another terrible team. Like, is that his last chance? Is that, to go get a win? Get that. Then he gets New England, and maybe he can build on that. But this one's important for him. It's important for this team this season. Like, if they're going to stay in any semblance of the playoff race at all, like, this is a game you've got to have, because you can then lose. If you win this one, you can then lose to Seattle and Buffalo, come back home at 1-3, and there's a path to 3-3, and then you're rolling, you're right in it.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Lance, good morning, Lance. Welcome. And David says kind of what I've been saying and thinking. If the Saints lose this game and Rat doesn't shine, I could see the team staying with him at I can't see the team staying with him at quarterback past the Bills. And I will say this, along the lines of what you're saying, and again, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but if for some reason, if the Saints don't win this game and they don't win the next two, man, I know 0-10 is like that 10 number just jumps out at you, but I almost think it would be this is the not the business part of me. This is the personal part of me. This is the bleeding heart part of me saying that I almost think it would be unfair to take them out and for the Giants game. You'd almost have to start them for the Giants game to give them that chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, as long as he's playing well, right? Like now, if they're starting to lose these games because Rattler's turning the ball over 3 times every week, that's different. Like at that point, you're like, well, you've kind of lost your opportunity here, and we're going to go to the rookie. But if he's playing well and they're just kind of coming up short because Seattle is a really good defense and a really tough place to play, and Buffalo is just a Super Bowl contender, and you're playing okay and just losing, then yeah, I think he deserves to keep the job past that.
I mean, and what David says, basically, you can't see him staying with him at quarterback pass. I mean, that's what I've been predicting. That's what I've been predicting for months. So I would just rather be wrong. If it does happen, he's 0-4. I actually would like to see him get a chance against a team that's similar to him and give him a chance to win. And then if he starts 0, again, we're jumping ahead of ourselves. But talking about this game and going back to a gift for the Saints, look, no Brock Purdy, no George Kittle. Good chances, no Juwan Jennings. Bosa's been injured, although he did practice yesterday, but he's been banged up. This 49ers team is about as banged up as they possibly could be. They got a miracle win last week. A caught ball. It looked like the reincarnation of Dwight Clark, caught out of the sky. It looked like it was going to be an interception there at the end, and got a miracle victory. But who cares? You're staring at you don't stare a gift horse in the mouth. You take what you can get. And the Saints, they got to win this week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, maybe got to is a little bit strong just because.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about having a realistic chance to be relevant, they got to win this game.
Exactly. We're talking about a season where none of us are really sure the Saints will be relevant. And even the Saints themselves might be okay with, hey, let's just use this as a growth year. But if you win this game, then that conversation shifts a little bit. Then it becomes, well, hey, can we steal one in Seattle or Buffalo? Can we come home at 2-2 and really go to work on some of the weaker games on our schedule? And I don't know, you look at the rest of the schedule and what happened in week 1, and we've got to be careful, Jim. I know you're like, week 2 is the overreaction week, but if you look at what happened in week 1, the Carolina Panthers looked like they might be a bottom 3 team in the NFL. The Tennessee Titans look like they might be a bottom 3 team in the NFL. The New York Giants, the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, none of those teams look good. Saints play all of those teams. So there's opportunities in the second half of the season. Yeah, if you can kind of surprise and stay in it, and like I said, maybe you get to 3-3, there's a whole bunch of games in the second half of the season where you go, well, why shouldn't the Saints win that game? And then we're having a much more fun conversation than we thought.
And that's what I'm saying for those who have the pie in the sky hopes of 10 wins. And look, you can't say it's not possible right now. And I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but you can't say it's not possible. So for those who have that pie in the sky dream of 9 or 10 wins, that's why I'm saying this is a must win, because if you get, like Zach was talking about, you get to 1-3, you lose the next 2, who cares? You win one of these next 3, which this was the best chance. You got the Giants, you got you got the Patriots. I think the Bears are after that on the road. They don't look like world beaters. So who knows? I mean, at least make it fun for crying out loud.
Yeah, I think if you just kind of keep everyone's interest for at least into November, then that's a goal accomplished in my book. Even if it ultimately falls short, and you can then see what happens from there. But the flip side, of course, is if they lose this game, especially if the 49ers come in here with Mac Jones at quarterback and beat you up and make it clear that you're not at that level. The flip side is, we're already talking about the 2026 draft and what's going to, I mean, we're staring off the edge of the cliff all of a sudden.
Who that daddy says, it's not pie in the sky, Jim Derry. It's realistic hopes. Oh no, pie is definitely not in the cake. What's wrong with you? Lance says the defense brings the same level of intensity. He agrees with you, Zach. It's all predicated on defense. I mean, I don't want to get into our scoring predictions, but I mean, hell, this could be a 7-6 kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember Kyle Shanahan is still calling plays,
Yeah.
and Kyle Shanahan's pretty damn good at that. It was only a couple years ago that the 49ers had an injury at quarterback, and everyone was freaking out because they had to bring in this 7th-round rookie to play, and it turned out Brock Purdy was pretty good under Kyle Shanahan's tutelage. So I'm not going to put it like Mac. If you look at backup quarterbacks, Mac Jones is actually one of the better backups in the NFL.
Yeah, that's true.
He's won 20 games. That's 20 more than Spencer Rattler's won, right? Like he's proven he can win. I'm not trying to take a shot at Spencer.
Zach said that. I didn't. That wasn't me that said that.
He's
this one
proving he has won. He can win in this league and has won. In fact, he won a couple games as a starter in Jacksonville last year with a much weaker supporting cast. So, like, he can win games. This is not like some nobody who's coming in. And Kyle Shanahan's proven that he's won games with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's won games with Trey Lance. He's won games with, won a bunch. Went to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo and with Brock Purdy. Like, he can coach offense.
I'm just going to say this. UBN's in the background typing in his comment that he took Jimmy Garoppolo to the Super Bowl. He can be the same. If you think that Mac Jones is even in the ballpark of Jimmy Garoppolo, you need to start feeding pigeons on Sunday. It's not close. Sorry.
They're in the ballpark. I think they're in the ballpark.
Jimmy Garoppolo's career. Mac Jones is sitting in the terrace watching Jimmy Garoppolo throw footballs. I don't know. All right. James Choctaw says on the flip side, wouldn't it also be a conviction of the team if they can't beat a 5-win team from last year without their 2 best offensive weapons? I'm not sure exactly what he means, Zach, if you understand what that means. I mean, you're without it's your top 2 weapons. It's not necessarily you expect. You're on the road. The odds makers are still saying you're basically a 5 points better than the Saints without Purdy and Kittle. It's kind of a representation of where the Saints are right now.
I think he's saying it would be a conviction of the Saints if they can't beat the Niners without their 2 best offensive weapons.
Maybe.
I don't know. The 49ers are not your typical 5-win team from a year ago either. But
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I just looked up the quarterback ratings, and Jimmy G's career quarterback rating is 97. Mac Jones is 85. So he's a step below.
Very significant. 97 to 85 is pretty significant. Yeah, Gabe, you can shake your head all day long. That's very significant. 97 to 85, that's very significant. Anyway.
He's 10% worse, 12% worse.
Jimmy Garoppolo went to the Super Bowl. Mac Jones, the only way he's going to ever go to a Super Bowl is if he rides Brock Purdy's cape, if they even let him, and he doesn't have to play more than 2 games. That's the only chance Mac Jones ever has to go to a Super Bowl, period.
Who has the better starting quarterback in the game Sunday, Jim? What do you think?
I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of Mac Jones at all. And it's sad because when he came in the league, I'm like, well, maybe he'll be, because I didn't think much of him. And then he actually played okay in the beginning. And he was all over the place. Saints wiped the floor. That's a good question. I don't know.
He had a good rookie year.
I would probably give the edge to Mac Jones, but just slightly. Just slightly. Not by much.
I think it's probably pretty close. Right. And we thought the 49ers would have a clear edge at that spot, and now they don't. So
we're going to make our predictions in just a minute, but this is a slide that I'll have each week, and I just want to bring it up. It's kind of meaningless, really, this early in the season, but I'm still going to do it anyway, just because if anything else, we could show the defensive ranks from week 1. This is only 1 week's worth of stats, and again, you're talking about injuries. But if you can't see the screen, it's the season rankings. I'll read them out loud in case you're just listening to the pod. Rushing offense, the San Francisco offense is 10th versus the New Orleans rushing defense is 25th, which is kind of surprising. I think that one long run kind of hurt their rushing stats from last week. The Saints rushing offense from last week was 16th in the NFL. San Francisco defense 13th against the run. The passing side of things, the San Francisco passing, again, this is where you take a hit, and this is where it makes a big difference. We talk about it. No Brock Purdy. They were 7th in the NFL last week in passing offense. The Saints were 3rd in passing defense. So that's a huge one. Then the Saints, and these are yards per game numbers, by the way. Yards per game, not passer rating or any other metric. The Saints passing offense was 14th. The San Francisco passing defense was 8th. against Sam Darnold in Seattle last week. Is there, what do you, again, it's early, so these numbers will mean more after a few weeks, but do you take anything from these numbers early on?
Not too much. Like, it's so hard not to overreact to the one data point that we've got, because we talk all year basically from the draft on about what's going to happen and how it doesn't matter till the regular season. And so you just want to cling to every regular season data point you get. But we got to remember it's just 1 out of 17. I think it was interesting the way the Cardinals defense sort of forced the Saints to play dink and dunk. They played a real high, 2 safety shell defense the whole time, tried to take away the big plays, kind of dared Spencer Rattler to be patient. And I think to Rattler's credit, he was patient. Like, he took what was there. They need to get the running game more involved this week. Obviously, you look at those Niners defensive numbers, like, they got to try to get the running game involved. Kellen Moore coached 3 games against Robert Saleh's defense when he was in Dallas and Saleh was in San Francisco. 87 yards rushing was the high of those 3 games. So it's not like they were very successful doing that, but I think that's important.
By the way, you talk about rating. The rating, interesting. This is an interesting stat. We like to talk stats every now and then. I think you said Mac Jones was 82. Is that what you said?
85, I think. 80, yeah, 85. Sorry, 84.9. 84.9.
Okay, so if that's significant compared to Jimmy G, this is significant when you ask me the question about who is better, he or Spencer Rattler. Interestingly enough, Zach, we talked about whether Spencer Rattler played better last week as compared to what he did last year. I did not know this until I literally just looked this up. His passer rating for his career, his entire career, including the half he played against Washington, all put together, is 70.4, which is exactly what his passer rating was in the one game he played last week. His passer rating last year was 70.4, and he duplicated on Sunday with exactly the same number, 70.4. And I can tell you right now, I know some people don't believe in numbers, but I'm just saying he has to be better than 70.4 for the Saints to win this game on Sunday. They're not going to be able to score if he's not.
Well, I mean, look, they could have possibly scored 20 points last week. They're very close to doing that. Obviously, that would have made his rating a little bit better. But I really think the Saints need to win this game on defense. I mean, we'll have our predictions. If Rattler is okay, like he was last week, he doesn't turn the ball over, he's going to give the Saints a chance. He's not going to go win this game for them, but he'll give them a chance.
All right. This is what we're going to do now. We're going to come back. We're going to save our Saints prediction for last, as we normally do. Well, we're going to save our Saints prediction for last of the big 3 before we give our NFL weekly predictions. But we're going to do LSU first, then Tulane, then Saints. So let's go to the LSU Tigers. And again, we're only going to spend a couple minutes on each of these. But I asked the question, is Billy Napier's job on the line? I think it is. If the Gators get blown out here, I don't know how he keeps his job past this weekend. Scott Rabelais asked the same question in the Advocate, I think a couple of days ago, but I just don't see how he survives this if LSU beats him by like 3 touchdowns or something.
It's hard to say. Like, college coaches, the leash on their jobs has changed with NIL and with the revenue sharing stuff, because like if they have a big buyout, fans would rather put that money toward the transfer portal or something and just wait for the guy to kind of coach until his buyout's a little bit lower. So I don't know if he's actually going to get fired. I mean, if it was embarrassing enough, yeah. I personally think Florida comes into Baton Rouge and plays a really good game. I think I think that they're getting buried a little more for that South Florida loss than is fair. South Florida's a good team. South Florida beat the brakes off of Boise in week 1. And if you look at the stats, that was a little bit of an outlier that South Florida won that game against Florida last week. Florida probably deserved to win the game. Now, is Florida going to win the SEC? No, they're not that good. But I also think that they're going to come in here kind of foaming at the mouth a little bit, and they're going to give LSU a run in this one.
I'm no fan of shoulda, woulda, coulda. You play to win the game, Zach Ewing. I ran this number on from earlier before you got on in the intro. A lot of people who probably are on now didn't hear me say this, but I'm just going to repeat it to you. The most bet teams in college football at BetMGM. Okay, the top 5 teams, 4 of them are favorites. There is only one underdog among the top 5 teams being bet on at BetMGM. Number 1 is Oregon, -28 over Northwestern. Number 2 is Georgia, -4 over Tennessee. Number 3, the Florida Gators, +7, and that's why this line has dropped from 9.5 earlier in the week to 7 as of yesterday evening. The Gators are just 7-point underdogs now. This number is at DraftKings, but it's also the same at BetMGM. The 3rd most college football team being bet on this week. So people are thinking what you're thinking, Zach, that that Florida's going to come out with, revenge from the USF loss, and they're going to try to take it out on LSU this weekend.
Well, okay. First of all, are those the most tickets or the most dollars? Because those are 2 different things.
Good question. You talk about that while I go back and look at that thing.
The dollars are what's going to move the spread. The tickets, nobody cares.
It's money. Most bet, okay. It's money.
I was going to say nobody cares that 1,000 Joe Schmoes each put $10.
It's money wise.
So the other thing is that I think when the spread opened at 9.5, I couldn't believe it. Like that was ridiculous. These teams are not 9.5 points difference. And so if I were betting I don't bet on the teams I cover, but I would have jumped all over that too. Like that's just too many. LSU's offense is not in a state where it's ready to beat anybody by 10. They barely beat Louisiana Tech by 10 last week.
Well, there's your spoiler alert. Let's get right into it then. That goes right into where we're going to go here, and I'm going to let you pick first, Zach, if I can find the slide. There it is, right there. And you've as we go into our picks here, you've got LSU beating Florida 24-20. You think they're going to squeak it out?
Yeah, I actually think I said this on the LSU Insider podcast yesterday, that I think Florida actually comes out and takes the lead in this game and leads for most of the night in this game. And then ultimately Garrett Nussmeier kind of gets his revenge for last year, leads a touchdown drive at the end, or the LSU defense, which kind of, the other thing about this is DJ Lagway has not played a night road game in his career. Do I have that right? Like, I think this is the first night road game that he will start in his career, and it happens to be in Death Valley. So that's going to be an impact also. And so I think you might see a big turnover late in the game too, when the crowd's really into it and everything, and LSU is able to pull it out at the end. But I think close game.
Gabe says you and he have never agreed on something more than that. Lance Dobard says Zach just called me a Joe Schmo.
I'm a Joe Schmo too. I don't bet much more than $10 at a time. Maybe a little more sometimes, but not. I'm not moving any betting lines. I can tell you that.
Bad news for you, Zach. My friend Charles Manga says he's got the same score as you, so that's probably a problem.
We can be wrong together.
Yeah, exactly. My thinking is this. I think LSU is going to blow the doors off of this football team. I think they played terribly last week. I think that they come out with fire. They play well against Gators. If anything, I actually think I might have done this score a little bit too low. I actually like the over in this game as well. I know Gabe's on the under as well. Gabe and I are against each other in all kinds of ways at this game. But I think that LSU is going to have I think this is going to be their best game of the season to date. I know it's early, and they played Clemson on the road and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I just think they're going to come out. And so I do think Billy Napier's job is in trouble, because if this is the final score, there are going to be lots of questions in Gainesville for sure. And I think that Nussmeier is going to come out and play a solid game. I know the Gators defense is pretty good, but I just question this Gators team coming in the Death Valley. And I talked about this earlier in the week, Zach. We had a chart of when LSU's won compared to when Florida's won as of the last 15 years. All but 2 of LSU's 11 victories, they're like high-flying shootouts. So like 45-35, 52-31. And so I don't think it's going to be that high scoring, but when Florida wins, it's a much lower scoring game. It's almost always under, at least in the 4 in the last 15 years they won. So LSU's won 11 out of the last 15 times. I don't think they have a whole lot of trouble here. We'll see. All right, let's move on. Go ahead. One last.
I was just going to say, I mean, I could see it happening, especially if LSU gets out to an early lead, but I'm on the side that Florida kind of buckles up one more week.
Who Dat Daddy says he's in Baton Rouge already. He's gonna be tailgating all day tomorrow. Stop by, get something to eat, something cold to drink. I think he said earlier he's at Paran's, which Nick and I went to a few months ago. That's where we went, right, Nick? Okay. Earl's pick says 27-20 Tigers, so we're all kind of in the same ballpark. Zach thinks it's a close game. I think maybe not so close, but we'll see how it goes. All right. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. This is a game that I actually will be at. The Tulane Green Wave, the return of Darian Mensah. This spread has kind of been up and down. The Wave were like a 2.5 point favorite, or maybe even 3 point favorite. I think it was 2.5. It went down to Pick'em for Wednesday's show. It's now back to Tulane is a 1.5 point favorite over the Duke Blue Devils. This is a huge game for Tulane right here. Zach, not just because Darian Mensah is coming back, and I'll show you a stat line I got for you in just a minute, but I think Darian Mensah will be fired up. But look, if the Wave want to legitimately be a playoff contender, the team from the non-Power 4 schools that goes, this is a game they have to win. I know it's Duke, and you're taking a little bit of a step up. It's an ACC team, but you've got to win this game at home. I think the only game they can afford to lose and still make the playoff is Ole Miss. Got to win this game.
Yeah, you do. Now, having said that, I suppose if South Florida is everybody's playoff darling right now, and South Florida runs the table, and then you beat them to win the American, and you're 10-2,
yeah.
I think you would still have an argument at that point. So
yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't completely shut the door, but this is a big game for other reasons, man. Like, you can't, if you're John Summerall and the whole you never disrespect the city of New Orleans and this and that, you can't let Darian Mensah come in here and beat you, can you? This one's juicy, man. I love this game.
It really is. And again, I guess I picked a good one from our first. I've been to Ullman several times, but always to cover high school football. My first Tulane game at Ullman. It's actually, I think it's the first Tulane game I've been to since they played Ole Miss in the Dome. Like, I don't know, maybe more than 20 years ago. It's been a long time since I've seen Tulane play a football game. Anyway, I had a little stats comparison for you. Here's Jake Retzloff compared to Darian Mensah. Now, if you just look at the first number and you see that Darian Mensah's got a 73.5% completion percentage, then you might say compared to Retzloff's 56.4%. It should be noted that Darian Mensah's first game was against Elon. Now, he did play 11th ranked Illinois last week, and they lost the game, but Tulane against Northwestern and South Alabama. But Retzloff has been a huge improvement for the Wave with his feet, 177 yards rushing already, and that has been a big deal for Tulane.
Yeah, no doubt. He's been impressive. I didn't get to see a lot of the South Alabama game. I know Tulane had a lead and kind of almost blew it at the end, that there was a couple of suspect calls involved in that. And I kind of said last week I thought that could be a trap game for Tulane. I think they're going to have 100% of their focus on this one.
Oh, there's no question. And John Summerall, you could see he was a little peeved at the way they played last week at South Al. Got down by 2 scores. They had to come back. And then even after they came back, it was kind of like back and forth. And John Summerall was not happy at all with Tulane's performance. I think you will see an uber-focused Wave team this week.
I think so. And listen, the other thing I'll say here before we do our picks is that Duke got its. I mean, they got like 30-piece by Illinois last week. It was 45-16 or something. It was not that lopsided. Like, Duke was in that game. They had a bunch of turnovers. They lost a couple of fumbles. Then they started to have to chase the game. It was like a huge time of possession difference. And I think in the fourth quarter, they just wore down. But at halftime, that was a close game. Duke easily could have won. Like, this is a pretty good team that's coming into Ullman.
And that leads into our predictions. Tulane and Duke. We let the guests go first. Zach Ewing likes Tulane to roll Wave. 31-23. Got them winning by 8 over the Blue Devils at Ullman Stadium.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a square pick, probably. Living in New Orleans and saying, okay, Tulane's got to get it done. And my reasoning is square too. I'll admit it. Like, I just think if you're John Summerall, and he has said all the right things about Darian Mensah, he has said, hey, we all take jobs for more money, and you can't begrudge him that. And he may agree with that, but I also guarantee you that he has been game planning all summer for this. There is no game on the schedule that guy wants more than this one. You're at home. The crowd's going to be fired up. I just can't imagine he doesn't find a way to pull it out.
SpongeBob SquarePants picks Tulane and win 31-23. That's what I'm going to call him all this weekend when I see him Sunday, sitting next to him at the Dome on Sunday afternoon. Guess what? I'm right there with him. I got a high scoring shootout. Gabe talks about the secondary for Duke is pretty good. Yeah, they are pretty good, but I think Tulane's been finding ways to score. It doesn't really matter how. And I agree with you. They're uber focused. I think it's just going to be a fun game. Now, I'm going against my gut here. My gut actually has been telling me this week that Duke was going to win this game, but I've been ignoring it because I'm going with logic because I believe in John Sumrall, and I believe that he's going to have something for Darian Mensah, but Mensah's going to come back. I think this is going to be a really fun football game. I think this is going to be a more fun football game to watch than LSU-Florida, and we'll find out because I think it's going to go back and forth all evening long. We'll see. All right. Time to move on and go back to the New Orleans Saints as we make our New Orleans. You want to do NFL first, or you want to make our Saints prediction?
It's your show, buddy. You lead us where we want to go.
You know what? Let's wrap it up with Saints. We'll give our Saints predictions at the end. We're going to give our. We did our NFL picks last week. You see, we're 3-0 with our. We each 3-0 with our local picks last week. That's just straight up. I'm not worried about it against the spread because we're just making our picks.
Yeah, because you're not worried about the spread because I was better against the spread last week. I see how it is.
I have no idea. I honestly don't even remember when we were. That's a straight up truth. Were we? Were you?
Well, I got LSU right against the spread. And I think I was the only one to pick that. I also got Tulane right against the spread. I missed on the Saints. I had them only losing by 5. So I was 2-1. I think you were 1-2.
Okay. Well,
nobody's keeping track. Okay.
Well, we are keeping track of this one. And of course I've got both here. And our picks last week, you went 1-2 straight up, 1-2 against the spread. I was 2-1. No big deal. It was really close. And here actually you have a push. So I don't know how we're gonna treat that. So just you tell everybody what we did this week, what we do every week, this week and every week. We're going to pick the 3 top games of the week, at least perceived by yours truly. And we're going to make those picks. There's no question this week, Zach, that the Kansas City Eagles game is the biggest game of the week. You've got the Chiefs winning by 1, and they're underdogs at home against the Philadelphia Eagles in a Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, I don't know. Are the Chiefs really going 0-2? Like on paper, you think the Eagles have
a good reason to pick them, man.
On paper, the Eagles have some advantages here. They have an extra day's rest. They're not traveling from Brazil. All of that stuff. I think the thing that really bothered Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl was the Eagles' pass rush, and they lost some guys. They did not rush Dak Prescott very well on that Thursday game. Now they were missing Jalen Carter. That's going to make a difference. But I don't know. I think Kansas City's got something for them. Big crowd at home looking for a little revenge. It's a toss-up game, but give me KC.
Some other picks that we didn't get to. Daryl Morning says, Daryl Hayden says, good morning. Let's get the trifecta. Charles Manga says Tulane 30-20 over Duke. Reginald Porter says, go Wave 30-21. And we got some Saints picks where we haven't got there yet. That's going to come after our NFL picks. All right, you got the Vikings beating the Falcons. I know a lot of Saints fans want to hear that. But you got I put that in the wrong spot. I think that's the wrong number. I think the Vikings are actually 3.5 point favorite, and I did the plus 3.5. Yeah, so that is incorrect. Yeah, they're at home. Yeah. So you actually had the Falcons covering here. You got the Falcons covering, but it's going to be a tight game. You got the Vikings pulling it out in the end.
Yeah, really tough game to call in my book. Like the Falcons should have beaten the Buccaneers. They really should have. They missed the field goal at the end. They had other opportunities. And now you're getting, a Vikings team on a short week, but we don't know. JJ McCarthy looked really good in the fourth quarter, but he looked really bad for the 3 quarters before that. So I don't really know what to take out of either one of these teams. I'm just going 3.5 seems like too many for a close game. So I'm going to take the field goal, but as far as who's going to win the game, I'm going with the better coach. And I think Kevin O'Connell might be the best coach in the NFL. I think Raheem Morris might be one of the worst.
And then here, this last game here, it's really a no-pick ATS, so that won't even count in your record.
Well, hold on. When you said that, I went and looked. Spread on DraftKings is 2.5 right now.
Okay, it was 3. It was 3 as of last night.
And not only that, it's 2.5 minus 105 for Houston, actually. So it's moved. It's moved in Tampa's favor.
Okay, so then I will count it. I'll say it's okay. You got to win it. So then you got the Texans winning 17-14. Go ahead, talk about it.
I think defensive game. Not sold on Tampa's new offense. They looked a little bit shaky last week, and now you go on the road and face a really good defensive team in Houston. And also, I think you mentioned this stat on your pod on Wednesday, Jim. The 0-1 versus 1-0 against the spread. Got to go with the 0-1 team there.
Oh yeah,
that's all 3 of these games actually.
It's gonna be a theme coming up when we get to the pick'em with the guys coming up in just a little bit. Okay, my picks this week. If I can make sure I click on the right slide here. I don't want to talk too much about Kansas City Eagles because spoiler alert, that is in my my best bets. I said 22-20. I think I'm leaning more towards like 23-17. I actually think the Chiefs are going to cover and win. I don't want to say convincingly is not the right word, but I think that you're going to see a much better game from them this week. So I don't want to get too far into that. I think the Falcons Vikings game is going to be one of the more fun games of the week, and that's why I did the plus 3.5. I had them reverse there, but I think the Falcons not only cover, but I think they win straight up. I know, boo, don't want the Falcons to win straight up, but I think they play a much better game. They're pissed off after last week. Could have won last week against Tampa Bay, Zach. And I think they just they're going to come out uber focused. And I just don't think the Vikings, I've been saying it, I just don't think the Vikings are that good. I don't think J.J. McCarthy's that good. We don't know a whole lot yet, but I do think they will score some points. We'll see what happens. And then I'm with you. I think the Texans beat the Bucs. I think they cover 2.5, 3, whatever it is. I think they cover enough on a Monday night game, but I think it's going to be very entertaining. Man, you can't keep dissing on Baker Mayfield though. If the Bucs win this game, you got to consider them a legitimate threat. I've already said it's them, and I said before the season started, it's the Bucs and the Packers in the NFC Championship game. I'm not getting away from it now. I think the Bucs are way better than some teams are giving them credit for.
Yeah, long term, I like the Bucs, but this is a tough spot, and I'm a little scared at how much we're agreeing that we might be in for hurting this week.
We've been agreeing a lot. We'll see if we agree here. Are we going back to the Saints? As we make our weekly Saints prediction, we ask the question, is this a big gift? Do the Saints have to win? Zach says, it depends on how you look at it and whether they have to win. I say they absolutely have to win if they're going to be any sort of relevant whatsoever. Zach's prediction for the Saints is he thinks the Saints going to win. 19-17. Saints get win number 1 for Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, and I don't feel great about it. But I think I'm just going to pick the Saints to score 19 points every week until they actually score 19. I had them losing 24-19 last week. I think the Saints are in a good spot here. I think that the 49ers come in with Mac Jones at quarterback, obviously. They did not look good against a good Seattle defense last week, even with Brock Purdy in there. I think the Saints defense can hold them down. And then it really just comes down to me to whether the Saints can move the ball enough to win this game. But I'll give you one more path to victory for New Orleans, and that is that Mac Jones threw 8 interceptions, I believe, in 7 starts in Jacksonville last year. He threw 2 interceptions in limited action in the preseason. He will put the ball in harm's way. Saints need to take advantage of that. They need to turn him over at least once, if not twice, and that can turn this game on its head. But I mean, more than anything, like the 49ers, I mentioned this at the top. What an opportunity for the Saints. The 49ers went to Seattle last week. Emotional divisional road victory. Lose your starting quarterback. Got to go on the road again this week. Big divisional game against Arizona coming next week. I am not saying this is the NBA where teams just take nights off. That's not going to happen. But there is a natural emotional letdown when you're in between those two things. And meanwhile, for the Saints, as we talked about, it's the flip side. If you don't win this game, you're staring 0-4 in the face. And I think those little things matter in the margins, and the Saints pull off the upset.
We had a bunch of Saints predictions early in the show, so that's why we don't have as many now. We probably had 12 or 14 predictions before Zach got here earlier in the show. I showed them all. Reginald Porter says Saints 20-17. Lance says Mac Jones 2 turnovers. Rat has 1. Advantage Saints. Saints win 13-7. What else we got? Charles Manga says Saints 20-14. Who Dat Daddy says Saints win 28-17. Everybody's all over the Saints getting their first win of the year, except me. This is still the San Francisco 49ers defense. I mean, look, I might be, maybe I'm a little bit too high. I probably should have had a score closer to yours, Zach, where they're both in the teens or whatever. Maybe San Francisco won't score in the 20s. I've got it 23-16.
Yeah, you're still under.
I've got it 23-16. I just don't see how how Spencer Rattler is going to put up more than 1 touchdown against this 49ers defense. I think it's going to be a touchdown and maybe a couple field goals, and that Mac Jones will do enough, and Christian McCaffrey will do the rest, and maybe Ricky Pearsall does a little. And look, there's a reason why San Francisco is still favored in this game, and it's by a full field goal. The odds makers even think that San Francisco is going to win.
Yeah, like I said, I don't feel great about my pick, but I also don't necessarily want to go through the whole season and pick against the Saints every single week. So I'll take a shot here.
Chad said he did say earlier, if we're 13-10 49ers, we play a little less conservative in the past game, establish running game, flip it. Black Preacher Man is saying that Kellen will run the ball this week because the game. That's another thing we never really talked about, that they absolutely have to run the football game. Kamara, to me, has got to get more than 12 touches. And for the Saints to win this game, I think Kamara's got to get at least 18 touches.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Like I mentioned earlier, Kellen Moore's offenses have not historically run the ball well against Robert Saleh defenses, but you got to try. You've got to try. Yeah. And I get him more involved in the passing game. He only had 2 targets last week.
Yeah, Michael Morgan, who predicted the Niners to win earlier, he agrees he doesn't see a Rattler outsmarting Robert Saleh in that defense. I mean, that's one thing you gotta consider. Again, this is the realistic show. I'm not trying to be a Saints fan. I'm trying to tell you what to think, or at least the way that I see things. David +1 # says Common Sense Monday again. So many people said Saints over Cardinals last week. Also, look how that ended. 49ers win. McCaffrey controls the game. All right. Any final thoughts here, Zach, as we move on this morning?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing, how things go on Sunday, because this really is sort of a path diverging in the woods. Like, if the Saints win this game, we stay on this path where we're like, well, what can they do? Yeah. Can they surprise people? And if they lose, I think pretty quickly we're going to go down the path of, okay, well, what can we learn about this team for 2026 sake? Because 2025 is going to be, a long year. And we won't be there immediately Sunday afternoon, but I think we could be in 3 or 4 more weeks. Yeah,
and look, if they, like we said, I think this season can still be fun, win or lose. I'm not saying this is a must-win if you want the season to be fun. I think there's a lot of things you're going to learn about this football team, whether they start 0-4, if they start 0-6. I think there's still ways for this season to be fun. No one realistic. Well, I can't say no one, because we got some people in here that realistically expect the Saints to win some games, but I think if you're being a realist, that this is a rebuilding year, and rebuilding years sometimes go 3-14, 4-13, and it is what it is. So I just don't look. If the Saints win this game, great. And you're right. Then even if they lose the next 2, then they got a chance to win 2 at home and potentially start 3-3. Are they going to do that? I don't think so, but it's possible. It's not out of the question that they can do that. So if you want their record to be 3-3, if you want a realistic chance at 8 to 10 wins this season, to me, this is a game that they absolutely have to win. And if you want Spencer Rattler to be quarterback longer than 4 to 6 games, I think this is a game that they absolutely have to win, in my opinion. We'll see.
Yep. It'll be fun.
All right. I will see you Sunday. You and I will be joining up right after, about 20 minutes after the game's over. You and I will be on the floor of the Dome for the Saints Insider Show. You can find that on New Orleans Saints on NOLA.com YouTube page. Easy to find. We encourage everyone, if you're subscribed to Dattitude, to subscribe to Zach and the Saints Insiders, their YouTube page as well. We'll see you Sunday, Zach.
All right, see you later.
Zach Ewing, everybody, as we do every Friday, talking Saints, talking LSU, talking Tulane, making our predictions, and doing our best bets in the NFL for whatever the week is. And again, one of them, I mean, you can't not include Kansas City. I knew that was going to be in my best bets, but you can't. So I try not to do what's going to be in my best bets in the games of the week with Zach and I. But, I mean, you can't realistically talk about the NFL in week 2 and not talk about the Super Bowl rematch. So there you go. All right, before we bring in the Pick'em crew and end our fun Friday with a whole lot of smack talking from some dude wearing a 49er shirt, that's a heads up. That's a warning. Before we get to that and the rest of the show, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you, if it's someone you know, someone you love, someone you just, you know what, this dude or dudette, they need some help. Well, tell them to call Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, Evangeline Securities, founding and managing partners. They will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from their offices either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. And from there, you'll be well informed. Begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. You know what to do. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area. None with their dedication and success. They will maximize the return for the founder and his or her family with private equity funds, established private equity funds from around the world. They're fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. It ain't the weather this weekend. It ain't whether Spencer Rattler has 1 turnover, 0 turnovers, or 4 turnovers. No, you know what's really important? The rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. A couple last comments before we move on to the Pick'em. Kellen Moore is not knowing for throwing to the running backs. He's got to get over that, says Earl. Reginald says, sounds like the Saints give us a chance. Chad always enjoys Zach's info and insight. I'm telling you, if you have not yet subscribed to their page, you should. They got a lot of good stuff. You can check out the Saints Insider. It's not as much fun. I'm going to be honest. The Saints Insiders are not as much fun as Dattitude, but it's very informative. Lance Dobart says we don't throw over the middle of the field anyway. So, you know, who cares? Fred Warner just going to sleep all day. That doesn't matter. Who Dat Daddy says he forgot how humid it is here in Southeast Louisville. And it's not even that bad. Who Dat Daddy? It's actually kind of dry for this time of year. All right. I tell you, it's enough about the weather. All right, time to move on and bring in the numbnuts. Numbnut 1, numbnut 2. Welcome to Pick'em Friday.
We should get thing 1 and thing 2 shirts that say numbnuts.
Yeah. Or like Nick can have a shirt that says I'm with this guy and it's like thumbs going both ways. Anyway, what the hell are you doing, Nick, wearing that shirt? Can't hear you. Lost connection. There he goes. He's going to have to fix his mic. That's all right. All right, Gabe, one thing before. There you go. Now, what'd you say?
I used to have a little kid sing my intro. Now I'm a numbnut when I come on.
Yeah, you know what? I got to bring the intro back. Do I still have it on it? You know what? Here you go. This is just for you. This is old. It's not even the same fonts and all that. That's okay. In case y'all forgot, here's Uncle Big Nick's intro. He hates when I don't play it. I got to make him a new one, but here it is.
Uncle Big Nick, can we make some picks today? Mom, can we please?
See, it's not even Thursday anymore. Like that was when we did this crap.
I was going to say, thank goodness.
I do bad this week. I know who to blame because last week we didn't play it.
My daughter, who made that voiceover, it sounds like, I don't know how old she was when we made that voiceover, but she's almost 10 now, and it sounds like she's a little. Can we please make it? All right. Let UBN get his bragging in. Not only did he go 3-0 with his picks last week, the way that we're doing this is you get points based off of your differential from your pick. So, in other words, the Saints are 3-point underdogs this week. If you were to pick the Saints to win, they won by 3. They're 3-point underdogs. You would get 6 points for that. So UBN was the king of the under last week. He got them all right. He's got 32.5 points, which is kicking the ever-loving snot out of Gabe and I. Gabe went 1-2 record-wise, but he's only minus 14.5. And me, well, yeah. Me, I went 2-1, but the one I got wrong was so wrong. I deserved to be worse than minus 18.5. I actually picked, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I picked Coach Gucci and the Miami Dolphins to beat the Colts. Boy, was that a mess up of that proportions. Anyway, I'm sitting here after week 1 of minus 18.5, and I think this is going to make things fun. It's Fun Friday. And so go ahead, UBN. Go ahead and brag.
I thought I messed up when you said the thing yesterday. I thought we were doing golf scoring and we were supposed to be negative. I didn't know.
Well,
I thought I didn't understand the game.
Well, if that was the case, then I'd really be rolling.
Right.
All right. We're going to start with you. We're going to clean the slate, and you get the crown by your name for the week because that's what, again, you'll see whatever they did last week.
Oh, it's even a cute purple and gold crown.
Isn't it cute? It's got a little, if you can't see it, he's got a crown next to his picks. And by the way, the team on the left is on the road. The team on the right, obviously the home team, and whatever team has got the number on it, that's the team he's picking. Start off with, you got Southern Miss at home. I really had to look at the double check. I'm surprised at this spread. Southern Miss getting 3.5 at home against Appalachian State in a Sun Belt tilt.
Yeah, I like this because Marshall killed Appalachian State last year. The coach for Marshall went to Southern Miss, and most of his team followed him. So I just think they got the Appalachian State's number. I think they're better to beat them. They're at home. They're getting more than a field goal. I think they win this outright. I
actually agree with you.
I don't like the spread at all. And I don't get it, which Vegas is smarter than me. So maybe I am a numbnut for picking this, but I just can't see where Appalachian State wins this game.
By the way, Daryl Hayden says it's time for undercover brother. You don't have any total. You win with 3 unders last week, and then you don't even put a total in there.
I'm give y'all a chance because if I just keep picking over unders and get that good, I mean,
why don't we ask him a big? Hold on, Gabe. Why don't we ask Gabe? We should ask him about his week 1 picks like the last 4 years in a row.
Why you want to bring up old stuff?
Oh, okay. All right.
We don't talk about the past. Look
Who that
ahead.
Daddy says,
ahead.
Who that Daddy says that shirt looks terrible.
I didn't think I'd get a good reaction to my shirt this week.
Charles says, take that shirt off or the team will break up. A parody of the Wedding Singer movie.
My knee's kind of hurting right now from wearing this shirt. I mean, something's going to hurt me. I'm going to fall down the steps when I get out of here probably.
We got a new member of the Dat family here. Medardo Solorzano says, Nick is trolling with that shirt. Respect. You got respect for trolling.
That's a buddy of mine.
Oh, okay. Well, we
knows
welcome
I'm
you
not
to the
trolling.
show. Chad says, I thought UBN and Gabe were smoking crack on the Cincy Browns game. That's right. I can brag about getting something right. All right. I'm going to let you just go off here. You got the Niners -3. You don't care who's playing quarterback. Niners are going to beat up on them Saints. You got Niners -3 over the Saints.
Hold on. I was going to say, I don't think you guys really care who's playing quarterback at all. I can't believe you guys aren't showing love to former LSU legend AJ Swan, who is the starting quarterback at Appalachian State.
I didn't even know
He actually played very well in his debut with them. So
that just goes to show
I'm not
you
disagreeing with the pick. I'm just giving him some kudos. I'm
going to say it's amazing to me that Gabe has a girlfriend that he lives with and has a life. If he knows not only who Appalachian State's quarterback is, but knows that Appalachian State's quarterback looked good last week. I'm just going to go on record and say she must be a saint for putting up with you watching that crap. Man,
that's as funny as it is, my ball knowledge bag is much deeper than AJ Swan. So.
Really scary. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, Nick, go ahead. San Francisco -3 over the Saints. I knew you were going to make this a best bet like, I don't know, 3 months ago.
No, I wasn't. And I normally don't pick for my team, but it's just, is Spencer Rattler still playing against the 49ers defense? Yes. I don't care if it's Mac Jones, Indiana Jones, Tom Jones, quarterbacking for the 49ers.
Tom Jones.
I don't care who he's
not unusual to kick the Saints' ass.
I'm not doing the Dalton dance. It's just I don't see the Saints putting up 13 in this game. The 49ers can get to 17. They can get to 20. If Shanahan can take Jimmy GQ to the Super Bowl, he can make Mac Jones beat the Saints this weekend. It's not even close. He made Matt Ryan win an MVP, and then they lost the Super Bowl. We know about that. But, I mean, Shanahan can do something with a quarterback that people can't. I mean, it's just –
I mean, it can make Jimmy GQ look good.
Exactly. Look what he's been since he left Shanahan. Absolutely terrible.
Oh, you're a hater of Jimmy GQ.
It wasn't awful when he stepped in for the Rams.
Your boy Dollar Bill's here.
Quarterback.
Your boy Dollar Bill's here. You must want to hear me sing, "What's New, Pussycat?" Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Don't encourage Jim to sing. What are y'all doing?
I couldn't help it. Who that daddy? I don't think he likes your shirt either. Oh boy. Look, I can't disagree with you on it. You're picking it's as much as the Saints against that defense. We talk about Purdy. We talk about Purdy and Kittle being hurt. 17. They still got their defense.
Right. Nobody on the defense is injured. I mean, they're sore.
Bosa's a little banged up.
Yeah, Bosa's always banged up.
That's
your last name's Bosa. You're hurt.
All right. You were jumping on the Browns train a little bit late, pal. We had Gabe and I both had the Browns beating up on the Bengals. Now you're going to jump on the Browns 11.5 on the road at Baltimore. You're saying you don't care? I got to say, I'm not touching this game with a stick, but I think if I had to, I might lean towards the pissed off Ravens in this game. But
do the Ravens ever cover a double-digit spread? Do they ever hold the lead? Do they ever do that?
This ain't the freaking Bills, dummy.
That doesn't matter.
It's the Browns.
It doesn't. There's too many points.
Who's going to run the football?
Way too many points in a divisional game. It's just too many. The Browns defense is awesome. They're really good. And I think they can slow down this offense. I don't think this is a high-scoring game.
Hey, I'm criticizing you. You're like 50 points ahead of me, so I guess I should say. So there you go.
It is week 1, so we kind of cool the Jets on how far ahead I am.
Are we going to get a chance to throw out our favorite and least favorite picks, or should I?
Oh yeah. We're definitely going to do that now. Yeah, we actually may, and I was talking to Gabe. We may actually have another lanyard. We're not going to do it today, but we may actually include like the picks that we like the most from someone else and the picks we like the least. We may include that in betting, but I didn't want to make UBN's head explode this week, so I just left that out. All right, so if you listen to the pod, you can't see.
Tell me things like a week after you and Gabe talk about it.
Exactly. So graphic. If you can't see the graphic, UBN's best bets. He's got Southern Miss plus 3.5 at home against Appalachian State. He's got the Niners, you know this, in the dome, -3 over the Saints, and he's got the Browns plus 11.5 over the Ravens. All right, let's go to Gabe. Gabe had a 1-2 week, but he was really close on one. I think you're over in the Florida game.
I think.
Yeah, you're over in the Florida game would really mess you up. But this week you got an interesting slate. You got Notre Dame at home, -6.5 over. You just hate the Aggies, don't you?
Yes, but that didn't factor in my pick.
Okay, what did?
So here's the thing. Notre Dame is 5-0 straight up coming off a bye under Marcus Freeman. 8-0 in games where he has more than a week to prepare. A&M is 0-15 straight up in their last 15 road games against top 10 teams. And a stat that I threw out last week that came true, and I'll continue to ride it until it isn't. Mike Elko is 0-7 against the spread in non-conference games since returning to College Station. So this is purely a trends-based fade.
All right. Well, there you go. Trendy Gabe is taking Notre Dame, and he's given 6.5 against them.
And I think
Aggies,
this is a must-win for Notre Dame as well.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I think they lose this game, they're going to be out of the playoff.
They won't make the playoffs
in September. All right, you hit a lot. We kind of went back and forth because this line was different at different books, and we had a couple different games in this slot. But in the end, you were taking the LSU Fighting Tigers -7 at home, SEC opener against the Florida Gators.
Yeah, I think 9.5 points is a bit too many, but I'm comfortable playing the 7, especially without the hook. Listen, Brian Kelly's going to have this team ready for this game. They were embarrassed in the Swamp last year. We've talked all week about how that was a quintessential letdown spot. This is an area where I think LSU is going to come out ready after looking sloppy last week. And I don't buy into the whole Florida is going to elevate their game to save Billy Napier's job once again. Billy Napier is 20-20 straight up at Florida. DJ Lagway against FBS teams has 10 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I think you and Zach mentioned earlier. You and Zach mentioned earlier.
I think it just matters the defense is going to carry LSU.
Yeah, I think so too. And I wanted to play the under at 48.5, but it's gone down a few ticks. And LSU is 5-1-1 against the spread against Florida in its last 7 at home. I just think, like UBN said, this defense is going to dominate Florida. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball very much. And I think LSU's got too many playmakers on offense to be held for an entire 4 quarters.
FYI, as we speak, the over-under has ticked up just a little bit. It dropped as far as 45.5. It is now 46.5 on DraftKings. The over-under at 46.5. So, Gabe's official best bet is LSU. I think it's too low. I'm in the minority. Right. Well, see, we got the 3 bears here. Gabe thinks it's too high, and he likes the under. UBN thinks it's just right, and I think it's too high. So
I'm thinking like 27-19, 27-20, something like that.
Make me some porridge, bitch. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. No, all right. I don't know which one of y'all is going to make me porridge. All right. It's our first same game. Okay. Spoiler alert. I got this same game. Chiefs +1.5 at home. Super Bowl rematch against the Philadelphia Eagles. And you're just loving on you some Mahomes, aren't you?
Do you guys know how many times in his career Patrick Mahomes has lost 3 straight games?
I think it's 0.
It's 0. He's got an 81.69% winning percentage at home. He's 58-13 in total. I love them in this spot. Mahomes is also 22-5 coming off a loss in his career. I just think, I don't think the Chiefs can afford to fall to 0-2 given their division.
I hate that though. I do too. I'm going to show my picking them, but I hate they can't fall. Yes, they can. You know how many people say so and so can't go 0-2? Yes, they can. That doesn't play in it at all for me.
With all the injuries, and I know they're the Chiefs, so they're different, but they've got a tough schedule down the stretch. I don't know if they can, because here's the thing with the Chiefs: home field in the playoffs is everything to them. If they have to go on the road to Buffalo, if they have to go on the road to Baltimore
did they last year?
This season, I just no. I'm talking every week. And if they were a wild card team, that's what would happen. I just don't. I think this matters way too much for them. I think they're pissed off. And one more trend for you: since 2005, teams that have lost in week 1 are underdogs. And are underdogs in week 2 have covered 57% of the time, and the Chiefs fall into that category.
Apathy says UBN is like one of 5 people. The 5 people, and one of the other 5 is on this show here.
Right here. Yeah.
UBN is like one of 5 people in the entire country on a sports show talking about App State. That's a measure of how much you really love football.
I mean, I could turn my camera and show the 6 TVs on the wall right here to show how much I love football too.
We'll take a picture.
I can name the starting quarterback of App State.
Well, I can tell you that Gabe probably wouldn't mind, Charles, if Philly wins by 1. It means he covers, and that's a win. So anyway,
I took the spread instead of the money line.
All right, if you're listening and you can't see the graphic, I'll go over it again. Notre Dame -6.5 over Texas A&M at touchdown Jesus. LSU -7 at home against the Gators, and ridiculously, and I should have looked this up and didn't. When was the last time the Chiefs were underdogs at home? +1.5 against the Eagles. I'm going to look that up. And
that's probably been a while.
David +1.5 says the Chiefs are going out this weekend. All right, I'm going to give you my picks because, again, I have the same game. I'm just going to start with that game. I got the turkey. If y'all can't see the screen, the turkey is on my side. Get that damn thing. Who put that there? Jackass. Anyway, I'm going to start with Chiefs because, look, I'm with you, Gabe. I'm on the same side. Again, we have the same game and the same outcome. I don't necessarily think it's just because that they're 0-2 or not going to go to 0-2 or whatever. I think the main thing is I've been saying this. I just don't think Philly's as good as everybody thinks they are. Don't get me wrong. I think Philly's a really good football team. I think Philly's going to be in it into January. I think they'll have a chance to do their thing. I just think the Chiefs are way better than they showed last week. I said it last week. I thought the Chargers would win that football game. I thought the Chiefs would come out flat. But now I think you're going to get a very focused Kansas City team against the Philly team that, that's a ridiculous line to me. Kansas should not be getting points at home.
Can I give you your
jump
answer?
in? Yeah.
This is only the second time in Patrick Mahomes' career that he's been an underdog at home.
Wow.
The other time they were 2.5-point underdogs in Week 6 of 2022 to the Bills. The Bills ended up winning that game 24-20.
So the Chiefs covered.
I don't think the Chiefs win this game.
Yeah. So there you go. UBN's on record as saying he doesn't think the Chiefs.
I think y'all living off the past. I don't think they're the same team they were 2-3 years ago. I think I
don't either. But I think Patrick Mahomes is the same player.
But you don't have anything to throw to.
By the way, I want to show this comment real quick. David +1 # says, thanks for the picks. Putting your money on the opposites based on last week's results. You lost your ass, David.
Yeah.
If you put money,
especially with my picks aren't even close.
If you put money against me last week, David, you lost your ass. I'm just saying. I went 7-2. So I don't know what planet you're living on. You need to come with receipts, pal. Don't just throw crap out there. Because
our point.
You took all the overs with mine. It was over at halftime.
All of us, really.
Totals don't.
I know you
really
just. If you're just messing, you need to pick something else to mess about. All right, all right. Here are my other two picks. I'm with Gabe on Kansas City. And by the way, the stat that he spout out, you're going to hear this multiple times here. Okay, well, maybe just once more. But teams that start off 0-1, when they play a 1-0 team the next week. Would you say 57%?
57%.
I thought it was more than. I thought it was more than that. I thought it was more like 60.
No, I think you have slightly different variations of similar stats.
There's like home. Yeah. There's mine like was home one. There's one that if they were underdogs the week before, stuff like that.
The point is 1-0. I mean 0-1 against 1-0. Usually the 0-1 team does very well in week 2. Now that doesn't translate out past week 2, so it's not something you can use every week. But especially when you're talking about an average or a better than average team. And here you got Seattle going to Pittsburgh. First off, I think Seattle's just a better team than Pittsburgh. I know Aaron Rodgers looked great against the Jets last week in a revenge game, but I think Aaron Rodgers, I've been saying this, he's one of those, I'll play great when I feel like playing great. And I know that sounds absurd, but I really think that's how it is for him.
But
I just don't think Pittsburgh's that good.
41-year-old quarterback that I don't think he's going to be able to string back-to-back games together like that. I think you better find the fountain of youth 5 times this year, maybe.
Yeah, and I think
talk about how
this defense is going to have something for him.
His stats a little overrated his performance.
A little?
Yeah, I mean, a touch pass was one of his touchdowns to Jonnu Smith. He almost threw a late game pick that would have iced it for the Jets on a throwaway.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't.
And if Jalen Ramsey wasn't playing, they would have lost. So just saying. I just like the Seahawks here. I think this is a lower scoring game. I don't think that, it's probably not the best pick to make for a points contest because it's not like I think the Seahawks are going to win by 13 or anything and get me 16 points. But I think not only do I think the Seahawks cover, but I do think they win by like 3 or 5 or something along those lines. I just don't think the Steelers are that good. So that's the basis of my pick here. And then my last pick, maybe my favorite pick, because I think the difference between the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears is massive. Okay. I think the Lions are going to wax the floor I think the Bears are the opposite of this team that, both of these teams come in 0-1. The Bears lost a game they should have won. But the Lions, you want to talk about anyone, if anyone's motivated and pissed off and is going to use that, guys, I think it's going to be the Lions this week. I think they have a big time comeback. -6. I think they win this game by like 20-ish over a Bears team that you're going to be talking about. Ben Johnson. Oh, Lord, it's the same old damn. The Lions against Dennis Allen's defense. Give me Detroit, baby.
I think I read somewhere that Goff is 0-20 against the spread if he doesn't have Ben Johnson or McVay as his coach.
Wait, say that again?
If he doesn't have Sean McVay or Ben Johnson.
I hate stats like that. I hate stats like that.
I will say this. He's going to have something for Ben Johnson this week. Black Preacher Man
take
says,
away Tom Brady's 7 Super Bowl wins, he doesn't have a Super Bowl win.
Preacher Man, it doesn't always work. You're talking about Spencer Rattler against the 49ers defense. So I really think the Saints win.
It's not 100%, Preacher Man.
Exactly.
It's 57%.
Yeah, the big difference. So that means 43% of the time it doesn't happen. Who that daddy's got the Lions too. Dollar Bill, I couldn't agree more. I've said this 1,000 times. Gabe wants to disagree with me. The Bears will be bad until Caleb Williams can be coachable. I just don't think he's that good. Chad Gage wants to know where you're from. You say your accent sounds like a Vermilion Parish Cow Island resident. Does that mean he's calling you a cow?
I don't know. Am I?
Marrero.
Born and raised in Marrero. I don't know where Cow Island is.
Before we finish up, by the way, we are going to wrap up with, I'm going to wrap up here with some Saints comments. So if you want to get your Saints comments in, now's the time to do so because we only got about 5 minutes left in the show. But we will wrap up the same way we did last week, guys. And I think this, again, I'm going to incorporate this into our picks some kind of way, maybe even starting next week. But I'm going to start with last week's champion, UBN. Tell me which pick you like the most from one of us, not yours, obviously. Which pick you like the most from our picks and which pick you dislike the most. We'll start with the one you like the most.
Well, I like LSU the most. I think Florida ain't going to have anything for this defense. Lagway against this defense, the way they've been playing. I just think LSU, Florida might put up 17, and LSU should better put up in the 30s, I would think. I mean, the offense hasn't looked that great, but I think they kind of sleptwalked through La Tech and Florida sleptwalked through USF and they lost. At least LSU won. The one I hate the most is the Chiefs. I don't think they're that good. I really don't. I love Mahomes. I just don't think he has enough to throw to, and I think his line's terrible. I think that Philadelphia D is going to be all over him.
All right. Well, there you go. If y'all in the comment stream want to give you your same opinion, which pick do you like the most in the comment stream? You got time to do that. Which pick do you like the most, and which pick do you like least?
Now, I will say one thing about the Chiefs. I really think by week 4, Tyreek Hill's going to be on that team. Then they're going to do something. They're going to do something. That's why I wanted him so bad in the draft, Jim. I think he's going to get traded to KC. That's
a possibility. Gabe, what you got going on? Which pick out of either UBN or myself, which pick do you like the most? And you can't pick Chiefs, Eagles. That we have the same pick there. So which pick do you like the most? Which pick do you like least?
They both come from UBN. I like his 49ers pick. 2 words, Christian McCaffrey. He's playing. I think he's the most important player on the field in this game. I think he's by far and away the best player on this field. And I don't like playing spreads when that tighter when everyone's hurt, but I would back that if I had to give one that I like the most.
I think the Saints are getting way too much credit for the Arizona game because I don't think Arizona's that good.
I think they're average.
They are average.
I mean, they're an average team that won by 7 on the road in a home opener. So if you lost by 7, and I don't care, they could have, they didn't.
Yeah. How is the spread the same? They're playing Carolina, who's looked worse than the Saints, and Arizona's the same 6.5 spread that they were going to New Orleans at home.
Because the odds makers still have the Carolina probably power ratings points wise, probably 3 points better than the Saints right now still.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah,
I don't either. But
I said earlier in the week I said earlier in the week I didn't think this spread gets below 3. Or 3.5. It got to 3, and I would take that every time.
Yeah.
So. S. Callie says, got to roll and love the new weather segment. Go Tigers and Hoot Out. S. Callie, we will see you next week. Dollar Bill says LSU is the pick he likes the most. Seahawks is the pick he likes. Of course, you're hating on my pick, Dollar Bill. No, I'm just kidding. And what is the pick you like the least, Gabe? I think you and I are going to be in lockstep here.
Yeah.
It's Cleveland. And I actually have logic to it this time. UBN, you asked a question earlier. How often do people cover in division
Not people.
games?
I said Baltimore.
Well, no. Okay, so I got both those covered. So since 2003, double-digit favorites in division games are 130, 158, and 9 against the spread. So they've covered at a 45% clip. Lamar Jackson's Ravens are 4-1 in those type of games. Lamar Jackson led teams are also 8-1 against the spread, coming off a straight up loss. So I love the Ravens in this one. I think they're going to come out pissed off.
Pretty high. It is pretty high, but I don't know. Look, I know the Browns played well last week, and they always play well against.
They always play well against Cincy. That ain't the reason why I'm picking them.
Yeah. Zach Taylor might be one of the worst. Actually, I'm not even going to say might be. He is one of the worst coaches in the league.
All right, Who Dat Daddy says he likes the LSU pick the best. His son-in-law plays for Florida, so we may see him and his dad arguing at the tailgate.
Don't get in a fight, Who Dat Daddy. We don't want to see you on viral on wherever, Twitter.
No fights. And like Gabe, both of my picks are with UBN, and they were both with UBN last week, by the way.
I'm just mad at me for picking y'all. But
no, man, I'm actually not taking the Niners pick. My favorite pick of the week that's not mine is Southern Miss. Look, this seems like kind of a trap pick almost. The line doesn't really make sense to me. Not that, don't get me wrong. I don't want to be an A.J. Swan hater or anything, but, I just think that Southern Miss I think they win the football game. Maybe not by a ton. I think it's a good back and forth game, but that's
got to win.
Yeah, they just got to. I mean, they don't even have to win. Just lose by a field goal. And I'm with Gabe. I think the Ravens are going to absolutely wipe the floor with the Browns. I think if they hadn't lost like they lost last week, I'd probably feel differently if they ended up winning that game and they could afford to just cut. I think they're going to be so focused in this game. And I get where you're coming from. Cleveland's defense is pretty good. It is good. But I think they're going to be all over Flacco, and I don't think the Browns are going to be able to run the ball at all. And I think Derrick Henry's going to look like a man after fumbling. I don't know if y'all saw this.
Why did Grant Delpit call him out?
I was going to say, not only after fumbling,
why
Grant Delpit had to open his mouth.
That dude.
Speaking of Henry fumbling, though, did y'all notice this? And Derrick Henry was on the sideline, and he was like, he had the pose of that, whatever that famous sculpture is. I never know. He's like down there with his fist on his chin, and he says, out loud you can read his lips, "I never do that." He never does that, and he ain't doing it again. So I think you're going to see an uber focused Derrick Henry and an uber focused Ravens offense, as good as the Browns team is, and I just think that's a tough one. And
I just think I get a backdoor cover here.
I'll just say if you get that one right, then I'm going to be giving you a golf clap next week. You like golf clap, so that'll be perfect. All right, gentlemen, we'll have fun. We'll do it again next week.
Can I say one more thing before we go?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So while our picks obviously show we haven't agreed, I think there's one thing we can agree on ahead of this weekend. It sucks to be a Florida Gator. That's all I'll say.
Let the band play neck.
True.
Is Billy Napier's job in the line, guys? By the way, if LSU wins by 17, does Billy Napier get fired?
He doesn't get fired after this game, but their next 4 games are so hard.
Brutal.
That I think he gets fired mid-season if they don't turn it around and get. I don't think necessarily after this game, but I think it's a strong possibility.
I think he's in deep doo-doo. We will see you, gentlemen. Or Gabe, I'll see you Monday. UBN, I'm sure I'll be talking to you during the week, and see you next Friday.
I hope I see you.
When I'm sure you're 6-0, and and who knows next, and then next week you're wearing a Seahawks shirt.
No, I hate the Seahawks.
Right.
Come on.
See you next
Division
week.
rival.
We're not gonna let you on the show anymore if you wear a Seahawks shirt. Let's see. Gabe, if you want to get with Daryl Hayden however you want, I don't know how you'd want to do that. He says, can you put up a P.O. box address? Want to send some Texans football cards. Thanks for your help in the inside. Okay. I don't know about Gabe, but I don't really have a P.O. box. But if Gabe wants to give you his address, that's completely up to him. We'll find a way to get you something, Daryl. Who Dat Daddy, thanks. No, thank you. Thanks to everybody as a member. It's a fun show. Look, I know not all of you want to hear the pick 'em, and I can see the numbers. I can see how many people watching at any given time, and the numbers go down a little bit when we start making picks, especially after we make they stay until we make the local picks. When we start talking about our best bets of the week, we got our regular followers, and you stick. We're having fun. The show's about fun. And I'm going to cut some of these out and make shorts of them because, that's what we're doing here. Again, I made the Thursday night football pick. I'm going to start doing that every week, and I'll probably do a Monday night football short as well. Do that as a separate. Gabe and I also, we didn't do this last week, but I'm going to actually make a slide, Gabe. Well, we will pick. There are 2 Monday night football games this week, aren't there? Yeah, there are 2. So I'll make slides for that this week, and we'll have that. By the way, if you haven't already, if you see the screen, then you know what I'm going to ask you to do. We ask you to please subscribe and like the show. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we're on. Every show is different. Monday, you talk to us, we talk to you. That's all we do. It's just us going back and forth. And of course, my dime, I'll give you my take on what I saw from the Saints game the day before. Sometimes it'll be about LSU or Tulane, but 9 times out of 10, my dime is going to focus on whatever the Saints did the day before. You can also catch me on the Saints Insider Show a Sunday afternoon from the floor of the Dome. Saints-49ers. Zach and I will be down there. I will be leading off. I'm usually on the first 20 minutes or so of the show. If you have any questions or comments, you can come on the stream and hopefully they'll show them and I can talk back at you. I know some of you have taken advantage of that. So I'll be on that show on Sunday afternoon. And again, we will be back here on Monday. Next Wednesday, I don't know who our guest is going to be. I have not reached out to anyone yet. I meant to yesterday and got caught up. Man, I spent a lot of time yesterday doing some stuff. Man, I was busy as hell. Trying to do some new graphics here, as most of you have noticed. I'm trying to make it fun, and that's where we all are. So that's why yesterday I didn't get a chance to get to the guest part of it. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up for us on this Friday. It's going to wrap it up for us for the week. We're wrapping up NFL Week 2. That is this week. College football Week 3 already. Crazy. Tonight I will be at Joe Zimmerman Stadium. So you can find me on VSN. Jim Rapier and I do in Shaw and West Jefferson. We have as much fun. Look, I don't know if you've ever listened to me do play-by-play with Jim, but we have a lot of fun doing that. We always have, we try to have 80s musical or movie references. We somehow put that in our analysis. We have especially with a game tonight, not to jinx it, but Shaw should win fairly easily. So in games like that, when it's not super close, we usually have a lot of fun in the second half. We'll see what happens tonight. But it will wrap us up for Friday. I want to thank today's guest. We're going to be our guest every Friday. Damon Singleton, Zach Ewing, Gabe Henderson, Uncle Big Nick. Hope you guys enjoyed the new weather segment. Again, we try to be as informative on the show, not just with our own opinions, but a little bit of everything. You know? Who Dat Daddy says, go Tigers, and Who Dat Family. Charles Mangus, thank you, sir. I'm a great play-by-play announcer. I appreciate that. And David +1 #. I know you're just giving me a hard time. I was giving it right back at you. I didn't take any insults. We're completely good. Chad Gage says he will try again until this works. Please, Rat, prove me wrong and show me that you are the man. This is a big opportunity for Spencer Rattler. Absolutely. Well, we'll find out what Spencer Rattler does on Sunday, and we'll talk about it here on Monday. A reminder to subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. You know that already. You can also find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. You can find me on bet.NOLA.com and our NOLA Saints Insiders on NOLA.com/Saints. Everyone have a wonderful, glorious, and fantastic weekend. Again, watch me after the Saints game on Sunday, or watch me tonight on VSN. You know how that rolls. And maybe you can find me. I don't know. I'll be tailgating tomorrow at Yeoman. Is anybody else going to be out there? Come find me over at Yeoman Stadium outside. I'll be tailgating tomorrow for the first couple hours. Oh, I'm also going on Mike Detilier's show tomorrow afternoon at 4:10. If you got WWL AM radio before the game, if you listen 4:10. Did I say AM? 4:10 p.m., obviously, on WWL AM, 870 AM. I'll be going on with my friend Mike D. And that's it. And we will see everybody on Monday. Everyone have a wonderful, glorious, fantastic weekend. Who dat? Go Tigers and roll wave. Take it easy, my friends.